So this is a really, gosh, when did this happen? Well, this is posted October 7th, so 2017, so I'm thinking it's around that time. But this is about Trump's mystery warning, calm before the storm. And he says, you'll find out, and I'm going to put the headphones on and have you listen to something.
You'll find out. Revealing no new details about the meaning of this cryptic comment during a reception with military leaders and their spouses Thursday night.
You guys know what this represents? Tell us.
So he says could be the calm before the storm, but you know what I noticed? Watch when he actually said the you'll find out, or the calm before the storm. Watch this guy to the right, our right. Do you see him? He's like looking back at this military guy, and his reaction and all that guy's reaction was quite interesting too. But watch this.
This cryptic comment during a reception with military leaders and their spouses Thursday night.
You guys know what this represents? Tell us. Maybe it's the calm before the storm. What's the storm? Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm is it?
Okay, I'm going to have you watch one more time, and we're going to again watch these people, these military people to the right, when he says what he says. He's saying that, I'll tell you when he's saying the comment. He goes, you know what this represents? Look at that. He's concerned. Now here's a little small diameter bomb, GBU 53 SDB. It's called the Stormbreaker. Now this talks about Stormbreaker can engage in fixed or moving targets at any time of day and in all weather conditions. Developed by General Dynamics Ordnance and Tactical Systems. Stormbreaker features a revolutionary tri-mode seeker that uses imaging, infrared, and millimeter wave radar in its normal mode. Okay, so watch this. And I'm just thinking of Maui. And remember my video where that little fish guy was telling his story, and he said that cop held up all that traffic and he kept walking, and then he heard this boom, 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 boom. Remember that? He told that story, and all those cars in Maui. This is just one vehicle. That's not a fire. I guess I should say that's not normal fire damage. So here's Maui. And like what was there to burn? You got the water over here. And you know how they actually closed the streets up? No one can really get in. A lot of crews came in, but no one could get in. But what I did notice how they've cleaned up the street. There's a sweeping. You can tell that they have swept just this part of the street. There's the pile, the rubble that they've got from sweeping, because if you look beyond this, you'll see the ashes and the actual real like debris through the street. I mean, it might not be that clear to you, but if you go to this picture, and I'll leave a link. Now, why would there be all this debris in the street? I mean, I know it's just ash, but that's not ash. There's something bigger than just the ash. So it looks like, look at that car. And I'm doing a video right now that actually shows a little bit more of what possibly could have happened. But just for now, I want to show why in this shot you can tell the obvious sweep marks. I mean, why is that so important unless you're trying to just get rid of some kind of information that people could glean from these photos? It just looks like they obviously did a sweep up. Anyhow, just a thought, just looking at this. Oh, and here are the buildings over here. But why clean up this one little section just for your shot? I don't know. It's obvious though that they've worked around the streets in this. They worked around the cars in this street. And also, by the way, the word Trump in simple gematria is 88. And also DD, as in D-Day. Remember, General Perna stated that D-Day was the beginning of the end when regarding Operations Warp Speed. But DD is, those are the numbers for D-Day. 8 is Jewish gematria. Then there's the English gematria, and then 8 is simple gematria. And here's your 8, which is infinity. And just a kind of a weird side note, but the word undefined operations is dividing infinity by itself isn't the only undefined operation. Remember when Buzz Lightyear said to infinity and beyond? That's the same gematria numerically, Buzz Lightyear, as boom, 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 just to let you know. And Buzz Lightyear, there's more to that, and I'll show you about this later, but it will link and connect into this, money from thin air. Anyone know about that Craig McCaw, who worked with Bill Gates to put satellites up in the air? Well, I cover that too later, so we'll show you about that later. And here's a quick visual, just to remember this for later. When I looked at the anagram, infinity and beyond, the anagram is obey nanny IT, find ID. Okay, if you want to keep the 2 in there, to infinity and beyond, and to obey nanny IT, find ID. Like information technology, you know how you have to have your digital ID? So anyhow, just one thought, one possibility. But when I think of that, I also think of the Disney's Peter Pan. And remember Nana? Oh, Nana, the Saint Bernard. So Nana is a Saint Bernard who appears in Disney's 1953 animated feature film Peter Pan. She is the Darling family's nursemaid. And a nanny state is a term of British origin that conveys a view that a government or its policies are overprotective or interfering unduly with personal choice. The terms liken such a government to the role that a nanny has in child rearing. You think? Have we been treated like children lately? According to Cambridge, the nanny state is a government that tries to give too much advice or make too many laws about how people should live their lives, especially about eating, smoking, whatever. So just look at the word Saint Bernard, thinking of nanny state. When we look at these numbers, 402, 606, 101, we've seen that before. These are the words that kind of come with it. Transfer, Red Cross, Christian, Tree of Life. Remember that banyan tree that they burnt down, that India gave to Hawaii? Climate change, I wonder what, because that's what caused it, the fire supposedly, right? And Palestine, like East Palestine in Ohio, remember that? It's also Crowley, System, Full Circle, and Bullseye, just to name a couple more. And St. Bernard, if you want to spell it out, 452, 750, 125. Transgender and St. Bernard are the same numerology, exactly. And the anagram for St. Bernard is tri-band snare, and tri-band of a mobile phone having 3 frequencies, enabling it to be used in different regions, typically Europe and the US. And these cell phone things, it's all going to come back. But here's GSM frequency bands or frequency ranges are the cellular frequencies designated by the ITU for the operation of GSM mobile phones and other mobile devices. And the anagram of St. Bernard is also regarding train bands. Train bands. And train bands or trained bands were companies of militia in England or the Americas, first organized in the 16th century and dissolved in the 18th. The term was used after this time to describe the London militia. In the early American colonies, the train band was the most basic tactical unit. And I did a video of Biden just calling back the armed guard, basically drafting the armed guard. And look at how this guy's marching. Does a little look like a little Hitlerly to you? And this is Free Willy. Remember that? The killer whale is warlike Heil, or Heil warlike. But this will go back to Craig McCaw, who works with Bill Gates for those satellites, and his infatuation with Kiko, the killer whale, which later I'll talk about. This play. It was called Tomorrow the World, and it's a 1944 black and white film, black and white, like your killer whale, about a young boy who has been heavily indoctrinated in the Nazi propaganda from his years in the Hitler Youth, and the title comes from Hitler's threat: today Germany, tomorrow the world. I wonder what that sounds like. Oh, and the word undefined operations, dividing infinity by itself isn't the only undefined operation. And here, if we look away all the numerical expressions of how you can show infinity, it's 8, 8. How do you like that? 8, 8, as in Maui. Anyhow, back to the DD, the D-Day for Operation Warp Speed, and the 8-8, undefined operations, August 8th. Oh, and regarding Free Willy, just look at that. Free Willy, just free will, as in Aleister Crowley, the satanic guy. Dilemma, the do what thou wilt, which seems like everyone else is doing what they will. And again, we're going to talk about Craig McCaw later. AT&T, Nextlink, etc., etc. Now here's a report, Selected Acquisitions Report, SAR, from the Department of Defense. This is a document, unclassified. You can find it online, and it's about this: a small diameter bomb increment 2 SDB11, and they're talking about the small diameter bomb increment here. Department of the Navy is Dawn, by the way, Dawn, and they talk about the MQ-9. And I looked at this small diameter bomb SDB2 or 1. Look, it would look like this, the SDB2 there. The gematria numbers are 1242 and 207. And you look at these numbers, 1242 and 207, the storm is coming. And there's your white hat in the background with an eagle, and I just find it interesting that this NBC News, who covered this, did it for 1 minute and 44 seconds, so you have the numbers 144. And I did a video on August 8th talking about the flying overhead in my neighborhood with all the military and the Army. And here's your red flag 23-3, and the number red flag in gematria, the symbol is 53, and when you add up 2 and 3, that's 5, plus 3 is 8. And when you look at red flag, the 53 is also 8. So you have 8-8. That's August 8th, the same day that the attack on Maui happened, and the same day that I verified that they were having a red flag military training in Coronado, but with all the branches, with U.S. Air Force, Space Force, Marine Corps, Navy, and Air National Guard. And you have this Colonel Eric Winterbottom from the 414th Combat Training Squadron. There's your 414. There's your 2 4s and your 1. And then we've got little Biden offering $700 per household, which 700 is Trump Train and Monopoly. It's also V, which is Monopoly, and Monopoly and Monopole are very close. The only difference is a Y and an E, and the Monopole is like a 5G tower or a mast cell tower. And the Stormbreaker, RMS, is conducting system environmental qualification testing of the SDB2 design and completed 2 critical parts in 2013, electromagnetic environments and effects and hazards of electromagnetic radiation to ordnance. But also this about Trump mentioning the storm, and their 144 is the numbers that they have. And they mention an Eric Winterbottom in the 414th Combat Training Squadron that was going on August 8th. Well, the word Mayday, and I've been covering Mayday for a while, but Mayday is also 414, which is the squadron that Winterbottom, and Winterbottom, the word winter is also part of the Twin Tower. Winter is another anagram, part of that anagram. But here again is that little breakdown of the red flag, and the red flag is 53 in Gematria, and it's the red flag, it's the 23-3 is the numbers for whatever reason they used. 2 plus 3 is 5, and then 5 plus 3 is 8, so you have both the red flag, when you reduce it, it's 8, and so is 23-3 is 8, and that's August 8th, which is when the attack was. And this is just a simulation of the Stormbreaker, that the F-15 employs a Stormbreaker smart weapon, and again, it can kind of work in any environment, any kind of weather. So it's tracking. It tracks, I guess, from GPS too. Well, here's another thing from Raytheon. Raytheon's high-energy laser systems use photons or particles of light to carry out military missions and civil defense. This directed energy technology enables detections of threats, tracking during maneuvers, and positive visual identification to defeat a wide range of threats, including unmanned aerial systems, rocket. Anyhow, here comes the fire. So this is a directed energy weapon system right here. New Palantir's lasered weapons is the first 10K class laser built to U.S. military. Look at those power grids in the background. They also have drones. Our laser systems are operational now. In 2019, the U.S. Air Force deployed our first high-energy laser weapon system, HiIIWS, overseas, and it has more than 25,000 hours of operation, certified use in combat. Multiple additional systems are now in theater, gates, theater, stage. It says that the Stormbreaker bomb will make it the most lethal and smartest weapon ever produced by the U.S. military. And remember that when he mentioned the calm before the storm, Trump's mystery calm before the storm? The red flag 23-3, this is published August 8th, but they were actually doing maneuvers and training right here in Chula Vista on the same day that Maui was attacked. And here we're talking to U.S. Air Force Colonel Eric Winterbottom in the 414th Combat Training Squadron commander. And the Department of Defense was always talking about the USAF and Navy enhanced their joint capabilities, bolstering the nation's ability to maintain a free and open Indo-Pacific. So they're focused on the Indo-Pacific, which is Hawaii is there. And when you look at the anagram for the Uniting U.S. Armed Forces, it's Maui, UN Nets Force Grid. So like Force the Smart Grid maybe, UN, like United Nations Nets Force Grid. And red flag, so you have 8-8, that's August 8th. And that's funny because 88 also equals Trump. So this document is 40 pages long, but it talks about the UAI architecture. Here's one thing I saw: urban architectural initiatives in New York. It looks like they like to rebuild their cities, your partners and advocates from start to finish. It just keeps scrolling. So Claire Austin, now this might be completely not involved with this, but it did say UAI, and it is about rebuilding you know, the area. And we see the Department of Navy funding. We also see Raytheon over here. Where'd they go? So here's this document, UAI implementation status. And look at this, dominant air power, designed for tomorrow, deliver today. It kind of reminds me of Hitler's little threat. Today Germany, tomorrow the world. I'll leave you this document too. Look at Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Raytheon all together in Universal Armament Interface, UAI. And don't think that this is too far from reality here, because here's Coronado, which is, if you look at the anagram, it's do Corona. Here's where they've been flying, and all around they have, there are 5 Lockheed Martins surrounding this. But let's check this out. This is at the amphibious base, Coronado, off the Silver Strand, the Naval Amphibious Base, Coronado. There's your Q-Zone movie theater. My dogs are snoring in the background. And here is, look at that. Interesting, huh? That's our military. Of October 2019. Do you know what was going on in October 2019? It was John Hopkins Event 201, the tabletop exercise. And do you know what? This woman right here, you see the back of her head? Isn't that interesting too? George Gao or whatever from China, the China CDC, is sitting at the table. Isn't that interesting? But this woman right here, you'll see here's the date, October 18th, 2019. I think most of you are familiar with that. They talk about the players because it's a big game. And here's Averill right here. I actually did a video on it, and YouTube deleted it because I mentioned her. But you know, I think it's kind of interesting about her that they kind of fail a little bit to mention here. It says Averill Haines is a senior research scholar at Columbia University, a senior fellow at the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory, and member of the National Commission on Military, National, and Public Service, and a principal at West Exec Advisor. Busy woman, huh? There you go. Director of the Central Intelligence Agency and legal advisor to the National Security Council. It's interesting though, why would you need that CIA intelligence officer in a Johns Hopkins, like a health thing? Here's her official portrait. 2021 under Joe Biden. I think she was there before that, but anyhow, 7th Director of National Intelligence incumbent. That's interesting. Her father, Thomas H. Haines, just happens to be an American author, social activist, biochemist, and academic. He was a professor of chemistry at City College of New York and of biochemistry at the Sophie Davis School of Biomedical Education. Until recently, he was a visiting professor in the laboratory of Thomas something. We'll go see that. Oh, in the laboratory of Thomas Sackmar at Rockefeller University. Huh. Oh, of course. So he's also involved in social services and foster care agency in New York City. His scientific research has focused on the structure and function of the living cell membrane. He is the father of Avril Haines, the 7th Director of National Intelligence. Huh, does she look a little robotic there or no? And isn't that interesting too? She also, see that eagle in the background? She also kind of has that eagle almost like it could be landing on her shoulder like that other woman that I showed in the last video I did. The one who's like ahead of the Department of Defense something. I can't remember her name now. The one from Taiwan who's not even an American citizen, who is part of our whole Department of Defense program. Interesting. Okay, so Thomas Haynes, he was born August 9th, 1933, and Charles Hayne deserted him when he was 2. So people who are orphans, and that kid in that story, Tomorrow of the World, he was also a young German orphan. Oh wow, and even Thomas Haynes. I know I'm getting really off topic here, but I just got distracted. Thomas Haynes, The Orphanage, A Curious Life, From Rebel Orphan to Innovative Scientist. Yeah, something can't go wrong there. Look how happy that kid looks. Interesting and telling little picture there, huh? Leave no billionaire behind. Bush Cheney. There he is with Obama, and there's Averill. Interesting. So Averill Hines, who is in Central Intelligence, her father is a biologist or chemist, and they know Barack Obama, and he's involved with he's a visiting professor of biochemistry and molecular biology at Rockefeller University. These guys all travel amongst themselves. I'm telling you, they do such shady backroom deals. So here he is. Look at him petting himself. He must be nervous or something. Anyhow, that's stress right there, or arthritis. Who knows? There's that nose flicking signal. Remember that guy I showed you guys in my other video? The nose flicking. Look at that, 666. Wow. So remember when I was showing you guys this about the Senate hearing meeting? The was a committee. What committee was it again? The church committee. Remember that? Where they're going to show the dart gun? Remember that? So just weaponry they're showing. Now look at this guy in the background. Look at him. That's kind of like the same weird sign, isn't it? That other guy. Weird. And look how he's flicking his nose. Watch this. Just flick the nose. That's really weird. Little creep. And your little 666 sign there. Now watch this. Watch him do the Heil Hitler thing. Just wait. Ah, there you go. See? Wow. Heil Hitler. Anyhow, just another player. Okay, so here I'm at ground launch, small diameter bomb here. Look at this, how it works. Look at this. It started back here and ignited all these vehicles. Now, look at this. I'm going to play it. I didn't want to continue it but just look at this. Interesting, huh? Okay, I'm going to show this in slow motion, and from the description, if any of you guys saw my video that I did a couple days ago on Fish Tells His Story, and he said he asked that police officer why he was holding up all the traffic and bombed and cars, but he just kept walking, and the officer told him that he was just following orders, and then he said he heard a boom, 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 boom sound. Well, listen to this. Actually, you know what? I'll let you listen to it. Okay, here we go, guys. Sorry about my technology here. This is slow motion. Imagine that. And this is on YouTube at the AI Telly. Huh. And just look at the anagram at AI Tele. It's HiIIary. So this is developed both by Boeing and Saab. I think that's a Swedish company. Saab Technologies. There's your crown. Oh, and look, they put a GBU 39. Remember, the lemma is 93. They love that number, 3993, and it fits into this AI Tele. So it's a laser guidance kit. And there's your 39 again. It's talking about the range. 81 miles or 130 kilometers. Huh. So it says 6 miles. It could have 6 missiles fired at once over mountains. It's 1.6 meters. Interesting, because there's your 19 upside down again, or, you know, COVID-19. Now they literally have taken the bomb from the Air Force and they're fitting it into this casing. So this anti-jamming GPS uses both anti-jamming GPS and laser guidance. So maybe that's why people couldn't use their cell phones. I don't know. At Maui, now I'm talking about Maui now. Oh, I guess nobody can jam their GPS. So at least they can't be jammed, but maybe they can jam others. I don't know. So it is a laser guidance. So it's interesting. They consider this a stormbreaker bomb. Yeah, dark tech stormbreaker bomb. So isn't that kind of funny though? Stormbreaker, you know, the storm, Trump storm. But it's a glide bomb. United States Air Force and United States Navy glide bomb. You know what the anagram for glide bomb is? Glide bomb. I'm gobbled, like gobbled up. And you know why that's not too far-fetched? Because there you've got your stakeholders, like meat. You've got your metaverse, like serve meat. And we had the lovely supposed coronavirus, which is carnivorous. Yummy. Yep, nothing to see here, guys. That's just a fire. Yeah, the fire pitches cars over to the side and just devours them. All right, be good.